Hello, my name is Rosborough and today we're talking about probably the most important thing to do with playing guitar, and that is tuning. Perfect licks, super skills and amazing pick technique, etc. is amazing they have on guitar. That doesn't mean squat unless your guitar is properly in tune. Now there are a multitude of ways to tune your guitar. You can tune it by ear, which is probably the worst way. You can use those little tuning pipes, again, awful. The other main two ways that you might choose to tune your guitar is either with a clip-on tuner or with a pedal tuner. Today I am going to be using the Spartan Music PTO2 pedal tuner. This tuner is super and it cost me 25 quid. We're going to see how this tuner matches up to the really accurate tuner in my DAW, just to see what we get for 25 quid compared to our usual standard Boss tuner, which is around about 80 quid. As the title of this video suggests, you might not be using your tuner perfectly. I've started to see on some guitar forums that a lot of electric guitar players are saying they kind of prefer the clip-on tuner compared to their tuner pedal. They're finding that their tuner pedal may not be as accurate as they hoped, and the reason being is because they're probably not using it right. There are lots of things when playing guitar that we all assume that everyone should just know, and tuning your guitar is one of them. You don't really get taught how to do it, and if you do get taught, you might get taught the wrong way. The very first thing we have to do is we have to understand what makes a note. Why does one note sound different on guitar as it does on piano, etc.? How can we use that knowledge to our advantage and get the most accurate tuning that we can? Now for science. You might be a bit of a science nerd already and know that we express notes in a value called hertz. That's how many cycles happen per second. When we tune to 440 hertz. That is a standardized concert pitch. What that means is there are 440 waves happening every second, and that produces that note A. That's kind of a little lie. A perfect wave of 440 hertz only really happens in one instance, and it's not really anything to do in the real world. It actually happens in a synthesizer. To produce a pure tone of 440 hertz, we have to use what's known as a sine wave, which is a perfect wave. If we look at the analyzer EQ on Logic and we play 440 hertz through a sine wave, you can see it's a perfect little spike at 440 hertz. Now, if I play it in my guitar, we suddenly have all these extra little spikes going on. This is what makes a guitar sound like a guitar. It's what makes a piano sound like a piano. A, which is 440 hertz, we know as the fundamental frequency. That is the note that it's mainly producing. Around this fundamental frequency, we have all these other frequencies going off that gives it its timbre, its je ne sais quoi, and we call these harmonic frequencies. So when we tune our guitar, what we really want to do is we want to cut down on the harmonic frequencies and make sure that the tuner mainly picks up our fundamental frequency. This might be the reason why people prefer the clip-on tuners at the headstock, because we tend to cut down a little bit more of those harmonic frequencies which travel through our pickups, using our pick, etc. When it's traveling through the neck of the guitar, the main vibration seems to come out most in the clip-on tuner. But they're still not accurate. If you're using your stomp box tuner correctly, your stomp box tuner will always be more accurate than your clip-on tuner. That's one of the reasons why your clip-on tuner is usually like a tenner and your stomp box tuner can be anywhere from 60 to 100 odd quid. First of all, let's look at this pedal. Let's see the features on it, because these are the features that will be on almost every tuning pedal that you will get. And then we're going to move on to actually using it and how to best use your stomp box tuner to get really accurate tuning. Spartan Music are a company that's based in the UK and they mainly sell pedals. I tend to buy quite a lot of my pedals from them. They sell both really bougie, expensive pedals, and they also sell budget lines like K-line, etc. I found their website to be quite good in terms of like explaining what you get through a pedal if you haven't seen demo videos, etc. When I seen they had their own brand of tuner, I thought, you know what, these guys seem passionate about pedals. Let's give it a try. Inputs and outputs go. It's got a 9-volt battery in the back, and you can also plug it into your power bank. We have an input for your guitar. We have an output for your guitar and also bypass as well. So you can choose to cut your guitar tone off completely and tune away without annoying anyone, or you can choose to annoy everyone and just have it playing through as well at the same time. On the front, we have a pitch button. The pitch button gives us different pitches to choose from, the main one being 440 hertz, but you can tune anywhere around that. Why you'd want to do that, personally, not for me, might be for you. me. Next we have our flat buttons. So if you're playing heavy music, which is usually tuned down at least a half step, sometimes a full step, sometimes even 2 full steps, just press this little flat button. The tuner will read as normal, so you don't like mess up your mind being all, is a C, a D, and that'll help you get in tune. We also have our standard little stompy in the front. The display on it is really bright and really big, so when you're playing a gig that might be quite dark and you look down, you'll not be struggling to see whether you're in tune or not. I try my best to find the best kind of budget pedals and budget guitars that are out there that do just as good a job as the big names. So if you like this type of thing, think about subscribing. Let's go plug a guitar in, let's go tune up, and let's see how it stands up against my really accurate DAW tuner. Before we put this tuner through its paces, let's get to the point of this video, and that's how you should be actually tuning your guitar. Sometimes playing live, we forget to do things. I understand, the pressure's on, everyone's staring at you, it's a bit of a weird situation. But try and keep these few things in mind, and this will ensure that your tuner should be as accurate as possible. Very first thing is, unless you're using a face fuzz, your tuner should be very first in your signal chain. Everything else is going to add extra frequencies to that signal, and that's going to really mess things up and make the tuner's job really difficult. Reason being you don't do it with that pedal is because that pedal just reacts so well to just core kind of guitar signal. Every other pedal can wait until after your tuner. The next thing, which is probably the most important thing, is they roll off your tone. Any extra bite you add to your guitar is going to add extra frequencies to it. What we want is a really rounded, wholesome tone coming from your guitar and going straight into that tuner. So very first thing we do is we roll off our tone. I forget which one it is on this guitar, but roll off your tone and then switch your pickup to the neck pickup. This is going to give you the most rounded tone from your guitar, and that's going to ensure that your tuner is going to be as accurate as possible. If you find that your stomp box tuner isn't as accurate, make sure you follow these steps because it might be a little jam and you're just cursing it for no reason. I have my tuner set up and I'm showing you Logic's tuner on top. I've intentionally detuned my guitar, so let's see how it holds up. First the E string. And you can see the meter in there is pretty bang on. Okay, let's use the flat buttons now. So let's go for 2 flats. You can see here on screen it shows you it's got 2 flats displayed. And as you can see on the tuner, it is reading E, which we'll be used to, E-A-D-G-B-E. But on the DAW, it shows you our true note. Let's get down to brass tacks about this tuner. £25 is unbelievable. Now, how does it compare to your Boss tuner? The casing is metallic. I'm not sure if it is as strong as the Boss tuner. I mean, like, I have seen Boss tuners be seriously abused where it should be illegal. And they have survived and they keep on trucking. On the other hand, I have also seen Boss tuners just randomly decide not to work in the middle of shows. So they're not indestructible and they're not perfect. Everyone kind of goes on about pedals being built like tanks, blah 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 blah. Unless you're physically like jumping on your pedal or just, you know, launching it at a wall for a hobby, most pedals should last quite a long time and they should put in their effort. Considering this is what, 1/3 of the price, it is unbelievably accurate. It has loads and loads and loads of options. The display is actually, for me, the display is far better than the Boss tuner one because I can actually see this from fucking miles away. I like the color black. This is the color black. That means it's cool. The option of when you're adding in flats as well, that it kind of retains our kind of guitar language with the EAD, makes it super handy and you're not kind of trying to transpose things on the fly. And at this price point, also having the choice of having just your normal output or your bypass signal is absolutely amazing. How much they've squeezed into this little pedal, how accurate it is, and considering the price point as well, I think this is amazing. If you're a beginner at electric guitar, I would certainly go out and get one of these. If you play acoustic guitar and you don't have a jack output, the best option is actually to use an app on your phone because it is insanely accurate compared to those clip-on tuners. It might sound like the whole way through this video that I've just ripped on clip-on tuners. Clip-on tuners are a really good second tuner. They're very good for quick reference. When I play live, I do use the output function where I cut the signal because no one wants to hear you tuning in the middle of a gig. But Having a clip-on tuner on there means I get a quick reference to it. I don't need to cut my signal. So if you're playing live, I would probably get both, but I would make sure that I'm using my clip-on tuner only as a reference, and I would make sure that my stomp box tuner is the one that's doing all the heavy lifting. Remember, it doesn't matter how good you are, how quick you can shred, it will sound absolutely terrible unless you're in tune. So it makes it super important to make sure that you get a tuner that is both reliable and really accurate. So if you're in a pinch and you need something quite budget that's going to work quite well, I really recommend this Spartan PT02. I hope that the techniques that I've shown you about tuning as well will also make sure that your own tuner is super accurate. If you enjoyed this content and if you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe. Until the next time, ta-ta.